Okta, SailPoint, and CyberArk. 3 identity platforms. All 3 pay the same amount of money, about $70 to $100 an hour. So same money, but completely different odds of ever getting hired. One of them has 50 people fighting for every opening, and one of them I cannot fill no matter how hard I look. And if you learn them in the wrong order, you will spend years underpaid in a crowded lane, wondering why nobody's calling you back. So let's fix that right now. And here's why I can tell you this. This isn't a theory for me, I actually fill these roles. So right now, today, I've got contracts open for $90, $95, $100 an hour, and I'm struggling to find real people to put in them for all these skill sets. I've watched companies search 3 to 6 months to find one qualified person. And I've actually had people fake an entire skill set of one of these just to get a job. And I'll tell you that story when we get to the platform they actually faked it on. So when I tell you this is the lane, I'm not guessing. I'll tell you what's actually crossing my desk while everyone else is fighting for scraps. So if you've seen some of my other videos, IAM is identity and access management. Your whole job answers one question: who gets access to what? So a new hire starts on Monday and their accounts already work. That's you. Somebody quits and every login is cut off right away. That's also you. You decide who gets in, who gets out, and who never should have had a key in the first place. That's basically the job. Now let's discuss the 3 platforms you can do this job on. So here's where most people get IAM completely wrong. They think it's one job. It's actually not. It's 3 completely different careers. First one is Okta. Now Okta is the one that everyone knows, and it's pretty much the on-ramp here. It's a login screen you've seen 100 times. It's single sign-on. It's clean and popular. And here's the thing, because everyone knows it, everyone learns it first. So that market is totally flooded. So I pulled a rec recently, architect level, multi-year identity roadmap, OAuth, OIDC, SAML, the whole protocol stack. Know what it paid? $68 to $75 an hour for an architect. And that's still good money, but hold that number because I'm about to make a point. Here's why it stays so low. When everyone can do the job, the company doesn't need to actually pay up. They've got a stack of resumes and you're one of 50, and it gets worse. So another role pays $77 an hour, and right there in the description, it said, if all you have is Okta, don't even apply. They actually just said that to any candidate. So I'll read that again. The most popular platform in the place, and it's a disqualifier if that's all you know. It's not a knock on Okta. Okta is pretty much where you break in, but again, it's the on-ramp. Just don't build a whole career there because the crowded field will cap your pay. Then we have SailPoint. Now I've done a lot of content on this one. This is the scarcity play. This is where it gets interesting. So SailPoint is governance. It's a system that answers one question: who has access to what, and should they? Sounds pretty boring, right? But here's why it pays. Now I have SailPoint contract roles from $90 to $100 an hour. I've been working those for pretty much the last 2 years. And I really can't find actual legitimate people to fill them. Let me tell you how bad it is. I had a candidate come through, SailPoint experience, top to bottom, looked perfect, and he was totally fake. The whole thing. I don't know if he had been doing this to other contracts and gotten away with it, but pretty much he didn't know anything. He had someone else do the interview for him, and within a few days, they gave him the... And here's what that tells you. The skill is so scarce that people are faking it just to get one of these high-paying jobs. So that's your signal. When people fake a skill, it means the demand is real and necessary, but the supply is pretty much empty. That's not a lane you avoid, that's a lane you run toward immediately. Then, last one, we have CyberArk. This is the ceiling. Pretty much untouchable once you're in this one, and it's different because CyberArk is privileged access. It's the keys of the kingdom. The admin accounts, the root passwords, the stuff that if it leaks, it's not a bad day, it's the whole company being exposed. Now here's what surprised even me. So CyberArk with $95 an hour, kind of the same band as a SailPoint role. So why do I call it the ceiling? Not because of the rate, because of how impossible these are to fill. They didn't want someone who just uses CyberArk. They wanted someone who could install it, configure it, troubleshoot the platform itself on their own servers. Now that's a different person entirely. Most people learn CyberArk as a user. Almost nobody can keep the engine actually running. In the interview, 1 round. just one. When a role is that hard to fill, companies don't run you through 5 rounds of interviews. They grab you before their competitor does. That's what a candidate favorable market actually looks like. So step back and look at all 3 of these. Same rough pay band, but 3 totally different games. With Okta, everybody knows it, so your ceiling is going to be very low. SailPoint, there's nobody real that can actually do it, so they're desperate. In CyberArk, almost nobody can run it, so you're pretty much untouchable once you get those skills. So same money, roughly, but completely different odds. And that changes which one you should be learning. 3 platforms, 1 pay band, 3 completely different competitive positions, and this is what this whole video is about in one idea. You might be asking, why does a security executive happily pay $100 an hour for these skills? And once you understand how they think, you'll never undersell yourself again. Now let's answer the obvious question if you're still with us. Why does a company pay $100 an hour for someone to manage logins all day? Because that access is the front door to everything in the company. Almost every breach you've read about comes down to one thing. Somebody had access they shouldn't have had. Stolen password, an account nobody turned off, a contractor who still had to log in 2 years later. It's not a software bug, it's an identity problem. And a misconfigured identity system isn't a small mistake. It's every privileged account in the company sitting there totally exposed. One wrong setting and an attacker doesn't just get in, they get in as the admin with the keys to everything. So look at it from the person signing the check. In most cases, there's gonna be the CISO, the person who's personally on the hook if the company ever gets breached. Now here's how a CISO thinks. Every dollar they spend is a bet against a disaster. And identity is the disaster that keeps them up at night. Because here's the math they're running. The average security breach will cost a company millions and could end that CISO's career over it. Some companies actually go under when they get breached. And the number one way in, compromised access, stolen credentials, and over-permissioned accounts. So when a CISO looks at an IAM hire, they're not thinking $100 an hour for this stuff. They're thinking, I'm gonna cover my ass here. $100 an hour to lock the front door on a multi-million-dollar building. That's not a cost, it's a bargain. And that's the mindset shift I want you to steal. Because if you're sitting at a help desk right now, you've probably been made to feel like you're just annoying overhead for a company. Like you're a cost the company tolerates. Well, kill that. You're not a line item, you're not an overhead. Because when you run identity, you're the thing standing between the company and the bad headline. So you're not optional, you are required. Now, one concept I always like to tell people is revenue generators have a low floor, high ceiling. Revenue savers have a high floor, a little bit lower ceiling, although some of them still get pretty high. And remember that when you're negotiating your salaries or your hourly rates when it comes to these roles. Because the CISO already knows it, you just have to know it too. The comp isn't generosity, it's really risk pricing. Once you understand that, you'll stop apologizing for these high rates for managing user access. So now the real question, what's the realistic on-ramp if you're sitting in help desk right now? So good news, help desk, probably the perfect starting point for these jobs. Because you've already touched identity every day, every password reset, every, dude, I'm locked out of my account, what the hell? Every new hire setup, it's kind of like baby IAM training wheels here. You just didn't know it by a name. Now, most career videos would give you a 5-year plan here. I'm not gonna do that because time is not what moves your rate here. Scarcity is. So forget years. There are only 3 positions you can occupy in this market, and your entire income is decided by which one you're standing in. You have one of 50 where almost everybody is stuck. And this is the starting point. So it's help desk, desktop support, general IT, maybe security plus cert. And it feels like you apply, you hear nothing, you apply again, you hear nothing. And that's not a you problem, that's a position problem here. Because there are 49 other people that can do exactly what you can do that apply to the same role. So even if you learn Okta here, you probably should as the starting point, you're still in that position in the IAM field. Because remember that Okta architect role, only $68 an hour is nothing for an architect level person because the company had a stack of resumes of people that could do it. So your job in this position is not to get comfortable, it's to learn how identity flows through a company, how accounts get created, how access gets granted, and how it gets taken away and then get out. Being one of 50 is not a skill problem, it's a position problem. You don't fix it by trying harder, you fix it by moving quicker. So then you have the 1 of 5. This is the scarcity jump, and this is where the money starts to move. So you add a platform that the crowd didn't bother to learn. That's probably going to be SailPoint here, or you could just start going right into CyberArk. And something changes immediately. You stop applying to jobs, companies and recruiters start calling you. And that's not an exaggeration. I have contracts open right now, like I said, 90, 95, up to $100 an hour. And I'm hunting for these people every day. And they're not hunting for me. This is a position where the rate follows the scarcity. Not because you've got any better at IT versus that Okta guy, because you got a rare skill set. The move to get here is really smaller than you might think. It's not another degree or another 5 years of experience. It's one platform that most people scroll past because it honestly sounded pretty boring. So the gap between that $68 an hour architect and the $100 an hour SailPoint person is not talent, it's the platform choice that 50 people were too bored to make. Then you have 1 of 1. This is where you become untouchable because you don't just use the platform, you own the platform. And this is where almost nobody reaches. Not because it's harder, because people stop at 1 of 5 and just get comfortable. But here's the difference. 1 of 5 uses the platform and 1 of 1 runs the platform. So remember that CyberArk role? They didn't want to use it. They wanted someone who could install it, configure it, and troubleshoot the engine itself. And what happened in that process? 1 interview, 1 round. That's what 1 of 1 looks like from the inside. So companies stop evaluating you and start trying to secure you before that competitor does. At this position, you have real leverage and you can stay full-time and ride that salary up, or go contract and build massive hourly rates on roles that I really can't fill. So that's the ladder. 1 of 50, 1 of 5, and then 1 of 1. And notice something. Not one of these moves requires you to become a coder, and not one of them required an extra degree. Every single jump was a decision about what to learn, while somebody else learned the same thing as everybody else. You're really not paid for how long you've been in IT, you're paid for how few people could replace you. That's the entire ladder. Okay, let's get tactical. You're convinced you want in. What actually gets you shortlisted for that first IAM role? Here's the framework I use when I look at a resume. I'm scanning for 3 layers. Layer 1, the commodity. The stuff everyone has, help desk, general IT, security plus cert. This gets you in the database. It does not get you the call because, again, everyone has this. Layer 2, the specialty. The platform skill, Okta to start, then SailPoint or CyberArk. This is what moves you from maybe to interview this person as soon as possible. Because now you're not just generic IT, you are identity. Most of the pile is not. Layer 3, the signal. This is what nobody does, and it's what gets you hired. The signal is proof that you actually understand the work, not just the vocabulary. So remember that fake candidate? Yeah, they had all the vocabulary on the resume, but they had 0 signal. So signal is a home lab. It's a screenshot of you actually configuring Okta. It's talking through a real access problem that you solved. It's saying, here's how I'd handle deprovisioning a terminated employee before they even ask. So vocabulary is memorized, but signal is the proof. In a market where people are literally faking these skills, being obviously real is your single biggest advantage. So stack it. Commodity gets you in the room, specialty gets you considered, and the signal gets you hired. That's the whole game. In a market full of fake resumes, provable competence is the cheapest advantage available, and almost nobody bothers. So let's bring it home. IAM is not 1 job, it's 3. Okta, that's your on-ramp, that's where you break in. SailPoint, that's the scarcity play. Specialize here. In CyberArk, that's the ceiling, and you can be untouchable once you get to that point. So same pay band, completely different odds. And every one of them is hiring right now for more than most people in tech will ever make, without writing a single line of code. The people fighting over the generic roles don't even know this lane exists, but now you do. So here's my last question for you. Which platform are you leaning towards? Okta, SailPoint, or CyberArk? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one of them. And if this opened your eyes to a part of tech you never considered, hit the like button. Tells me what kind of content to keep making for you guys. Thanks again. We'll catch you in the next one.